President Donald Trump has warned that he will intervene to stop any bloody crackdown on protesters in Iran, having even vowed to help Iranians looking at freedom. But the question is, what are the options and the red lines for President Donald Trump? Well, multiple US media reports claim that Trump administration officials have already discussed the possible options. According to reports, one option being discussed is large-scale aerial strike on multiple Iranian military targets. While these could target IRGC or even law enforcement forces that are being used to put down the growing protests. Another option being considered is strikes on non-military sites. Reports citing officials said that there isn't a consensus yet on what course of action is going to be taken. But there is a fear that a US military intervention may actually backfire for the US. Strikes could also deter some of the protesters from taking to the streets. A direct American military intervention might be rejected by parts of Iranian public, which could even galvanize people to support the government. The New York Times, having cited a senior US military official, said that the commanders in the region would want more time to prepare for any possible retaliation by Iran. The reports also claim that no military equipment or personnel had been moved in preparation for a strike as of now. However, the US has a considerable presence in the region. US Central Command has been conducting strikes against Islamic State targets across Syria. In fact, back in the month of June, American B-2 bombers had directly flown from the US to hit nuclear facilities in Iran. Well, the US already has a willing ally in the region in Israel. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke by phone on Saturday with Israeli Prime Minister, and reports suggest that the two leaders discussed the protests in Iran along with the situation in Syria as well as Gaza. Meanwhile, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has assured Iranians that help is on the way. He's even told Iranians that their long nightmare is soon coming to a close. He added that those who are sacrificing in Iran, God bless, help is on the way. Notably, earlier, President Trump had even shared a tweet from Graham calling to make Iran great again. And to discuss all that's been happening in Iran over the last 15 days, we are being joined by Adele Nazarian from Washington, D.C. She's a senior media fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy. Appreciate you joining us on the broadcast. Situation is, of course, spiraling by the day across Iran, with activists having said that those who have been killed has far surpassed the 100 mark. Now, reports even suggest that President Trump has been briefed on carrying out large-scale strikes. He's weighing possible options. How do you see the evolving situation in Iran?
So I see the Iranian regime, actually this time is different. I am heartbroken to see so many Iranians who are literally their dead bodies overflowing in Iranian hospitals, in Tehran specifically. There isn't enough room to take the bodies in. It's a disaster when it comes to that. But this is categorically different from other protests, and a lot of it has to do with numerology, and I'll get into that in a minute. I do see President Trump's and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham, Senator Ted Cruz, so many different leaders in the American public space coming to the defense of and support of the Iranian people. I do not see the U.S. taking military action, to be honest with you, that would harm the Iranian people more than they already have been harmed. I think this time it's in the Iranian people's hands, and that's the way it's supposed to be. I don't think they want to see a situation repeating.
Adele, just in continuation to the earlier point you mentioned about the role of US and Trump having warned of possible intervention, what in your view are the possible options available for President Trump and the US to intervene in Iran at this stage?
I think at this point, honestly, there's clearly a great deal of intel within Iran from not only the US, also with Israel being there. And if they want to go in and physically remove the Khamenei, the Iran supreme leader, I don't think that'll be an issue. I wouldn't be surprised if the people get to the Iran supreme leader before any Americans or, let's say, covert forces do that. That said, I think the President Masoud Pezeshkian, he's actually very amenable from what I've seen to working with the U.S. Whether or not he remains in power will also remain to be seen. But I do want to make a clear point here that maybe hasn't been brought up yet. And you have to be able to look at the day that this protest, uprising, revolution really happened. It was on the 28th of December, 2025, a 28th day in a 9-cycle year. 2 + 2 + 5 = 9. And this is just pure math and science that will prove it. 9s represent the ending of something, not a beginning. And the fact that 28 is the power is a number of wealth, but also the number of, it's a power number associated with karma and authority and reckoning. It signifies a rise in power and a fall to the abuse of power. And the Iranian government and regime has only abused its power. And that's why this time it is the end of them. And I think it'll take a few weeks, possibly a few more months, but I can guarantee you, and I can't believe that I'm saying this, because, sorry, for me it's very personal, because my parents had to leave the Iranian homeland. And thank God they were able to get home in America.
Right, let's keep the numerology for another day. Let's see how it's going to play out. But talking of Iran's exiled crown prince, that is Reza Pahlavi, he's, of course, rallied behind President Trump. Hypothetically, if we were to assume that there is a possible regime change in Iran, do you see the exiled crown prince returning to Iran? And can he actually assuage and address the concerns in Iran?
So Reza Pahlavi is how he's pronounced his name. He's actually 100% committed to returning to Iran and to helping lead the nation to a new governance structure. Whether or not he decides or, he's going to be elected to lead the country into fulfillment, that's going to be up to the people and up to him. But I definitely do see him, I take very seriously his commitment to returning to his homeland and leading his people. And I think he has the support of the U.S. behind him. This is very clear. I've met with him personally several times. He's a good man. He's a strong man, and he really loves his homeland. And he loves America as well. So he loves America and Iran. And most of all, he loves the Iranian people. So I think he's a very formidable leader. And at the end of the day, though, it's going to be up to the people of Iran. And he said that, and he's aware. So I think his presence is going to be welcomed. And I think regardless, he should definitely return to Iran once the regime has actually been removed, and that the rest is going to be up to fate to decide.
Nazarian, point taken. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast. That's all the time we had, but let's see how the situation evolves. For now, the activists say that 116 people have died in the country as part of the protest so far.
Thank you.